Good evening, everybody. My name is Jim Flick, and I'm the Township's Public Information Officer. I want to thank you all for joining us. I also want to give a special thanks to the Township trustees, staff for the Township, as well as the Warren County Engineer's Office for joining us for this presentation. The way that we have this set up is that only those that are presenting will be able to unmute themselves. We've done that so that we can keep this meeting as efficient as possible. If you do have any questions, we ask that you submit them in the chat function, and we will address as many as we can tonight. Those that we're unable to address tonight, we will go ahead and respond via email. So if you could include an email address with your question when you submit it in to the chat function. This video will also be posted on our website and to a social media channel afterwards for reviewing, should there be any questions in the follow-up. And with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to Trustee Lel Heading, who will take it from here. So thank you. Trustee Heading.
Thank you, Jim, very much. This meeting actually started a year ago, and Ruth Fisher and I started talking about this meeting at least 12 months ago. So I'm happy to have everybody with us tonight. Although I can't see all the participants, I'd like to welcome you. Thank you for taking the time to join in and learn about the Kings Mills Infrastructure Improvement Project. We have a list of participants from the county and from the township, and I'd just like to run through some names so those that watching at home really know that the township and the county have worked hand in hand on this project for a very, very long time. And without each one of these people that I'm about to name, we wouldn't be here right now. So from the Warren County Engineer's Office, we have Neil Tunison. He is Warren County's engineer. We have Kurt Weber, Deputy County Engineer, Dave Mick, Assistant County Engineer, and Roy Henson, Warren County Bridge Engineer. You know what they say, when you have 4 engineers on a call, it's going to get wild. It's going to get wild. For Deerfield Township, we have, I believe, I'm sorry, I can't see, but we have President Kristen Maholtra, Vice President Jim Siciliano, Fiscal Officer Dan Corey, Director of Public Works, Billy Highfill. You just heard from Jim Flick, and I'd like to give a special thanks to our administrator, Mr. Eric Reiners, for helping to coordinate this with all of these people's calendars. It's been a long time coming. Thank you to Ruth Fisher for helping me coordinate this with the public in Kings Mills. Everybody knows Miss Fisher. If you don't, you will by the end of the call. So thank you, Ruth, for helping to do this. And with that, and with those welcomes in place, I'd like to turn this over to Billy to start this presentation.
All right, can you hear me? Everybody can hear me? Okay. Well, first off, thanks everybody for attending tonight. Again, I can't see everyone in person either, but I'm going to walk through briefly the Kings Mills Improvement Project. And this is starting, I'm going to go back from 2006 to where, there we go. So the brief history from in 2006 and 2008, the township funded and began engineering for Kings Mills. The township acquired cost estimate, proposed construction. Construction was scheduled to start in late summer, but stopped due to lack of funding. The funding option in 2008, the project was $3.1 million. Based on the overall size and magnitude of this project, there was a need for the residents to contribute to this project. That contribution was proposed under an assessment to the property owners. Results from the questionnaires distributed in Kings Mills had shown that the vast majority of residents were not willing to participate with that assessment. So it ended then. I was not in this position. However, I was aware of this going on. I was at the township, just not here. Moving on, basically getting to where we're at today, the trustees and the township administrator advised staff to move forward in 2019 to identify funding alternatives and finalize the engineering. Staff submitted phase 1 pre-application in 2019 and phase 1 final application in 2020 to the Ohio Public Works Commission, OPWC. I'll refer to that quite a bit in the rest of these slides. Staff has submitted phase 2 pre-application in 2020 to the OPWC as well. Engineering is completed for phase 1. and 90% is done for phase 2 as well. Staff at this time is preparing phase 2 for final application, and we will be submitting phase 3 submittal in 2021. Funding has been approved and will be available for construction by August of this year, 2021, for phase 1 portion of this project. Which leads to, who's funding this project? It's being funded by 5 different entities here. We have Deerfield Township, Deerfield Regional Stormwater District, Warren County Water and Sewer Department, Warren County Engineers Office, and Ohio Public Works Commission, OPWC. That's our grant funding. This is a 51% local match and a 49% OPWC, so it's a split. This spreadsheet here shows the total project for phase 1 is $1.5 million. Phase 2, it's showing you the total project and then the breakdown of the split. So phase 1 for this year is $741,361, and the local match is $771,621. The grand total for the total project for all 4 phases is $6,596,000, or $5,906 and $652. I butchered that up. Sorry about that. Next up, the funding breakdown for each phases. This is phase 1 through 4. The light blue there is showing you the OPWC match. Dark blue is Deerfield Township. So you can see we range within the 4 years. The first year the township's paying $563,000. And in phase 4, we're paying $638,000. The red is Warren County Water and Sewer Department. The green is Deerfield Regional Stormwater District portion each year. And the purple is Warren County Engineers Office. Breakdown of the phases. The phases were actually broke down as well from the drainage outlets. The majority of the water in Kings Mills comes down to College Street, Miami, at that first drainage outlet there on the bottom. Can you see my mouse there? Right here. So phase 1 is red. That's College Street and a section of Miami Street. That is what's slated to be worked on later in this year in 2021. Phase 2 is the teal blue color there. That's Miami Street and Cherry. Phase 3 is Maple Street and Oak Street and a section of Church. So you got Oak, Maple, and then finishing out Church, or starting Church here. And then phase 4 will finish up with Walnut Street and the remainder of Church. Benefits to the residents, no out-of-pocket cost. They're getting new sidewalk, new curb and gutter, new driveway aprons. To be more specific on that, it would be, if you have concrete, you'll get concrete back. If you have asphalt, you will get asphalt back. If you at this time have a gravel driveway, that would be put back into asphalt. The aprons would go back to the sidewalk. All the roads will be paved. There'll be all new storm sewer pipes and structures, all new water mains and service lines that run to residential water meter pits. And then there's on-street parking as well. What does the township need from the residents? The only thing we need at this time, or will be coming up, is easements. And these easements are, most of them are for grading purposes. There'll be storm sewer easements, a couple of those, and some various sidewalk, curb ramp areas like in the corners. For the truncated domes, we may need some, a couple permanent easements there, but primarily most of these easements are temporary just for grading. Once we get to that point in March, after having this meeting here, and if we can receive some questions on that, residents will receive the easements March 1st. Staff here has been preparing them with IBI Group, which is the engineering firm on this project, returning them hopefully to us by March 15th. And then obviously with any construction project, there's going to be some times where we're going to have patience between the residents, and hopefully we can cooperation. But I do look for this to go pretty smooth once we get it going. The timeline, January, February, utility coordination meetings, those have been happening at this time. The Kings Mills resident meeting, that's tonight. We're preparing documents for required easements, which I just spoke about. March and May, OPWC pre-application submitted for phase 3. We're working that on inside here now. Handout easements, March 1st, return on March 15th. Utility movement should begin somewhere, maybe by even now, they should be in there looking at some things and communicating with Mike Murray and myself on what needs to be moved, what can stay. And then we're preparing the bid documents for phase 1. June, we'll submit the final application for phase 2. The bid documents to be completed, and then the paper, we'll run this in the paper on June 1st. And it will run, it looks like public bid June 6th and June 13th. We'll open bids on June 24th. Hopefully by June, utility movement is complete. At July, we'll award the bid at the July 6th trustee meeting. Pre-construction meetings, and I put those in there for July 13th and July 27th. Those could fluctuate a little bit. There'll probably be more of them, just 2. I'm just trying to map this out. And then in August, we should be slated to start construction for the Kings Mills improvement project August 1st. So that's kind of where we're at now. Here's some exhibits. We can show some existing or some new, this would be the new sidewalk here. You kind of see the grade speckle running along there, and the turns here, you see the truncated domes. There's some storm sewer. You can see storm sewer runs. Let me see what else we got. This is Oak Street, same thing here. You're seeing the sidewalk. You're seeing some new stormwater outlets, inlets for the on the roadway. And then if you're looking at a typical section here, this yellow section that I have highlighted, there's a 9-foot parking lane on each road, which still leaves you with 2 11-foot wide driving lanes. The orange here is the curb, the curb and gutter. And then the blue is the sidewalk. You will still have a 3.5-foot tree lawn in between, but at this time it's just grass. But there will be a 3.5-foot section there of grass in between the sidewalk and the curb. Again, there's a 9-foot parking lane. This is Oak Street. This is one of Cherry. This is one of College. And this is one of Walnut Street. Here's an overall look at all the phases of Kings Mills. The light blue is the sidewalk. The blue lines obviously is the new water mains. But that's just an overall look of all the roads once phase 1 through 4 is complete. All right, these next 3 slides we are doing in addition, really not part of the projects, because the projects are kind of spread out, and we've heard requests from residents, speaking with our trustees and the administrator, the Public Works Department. We will do some of this in-house, some of it will be out or will be subcontracted out. Church Street here near the school, we're gonna add some new school pavement markings, new high reflective school zone signs. We'll update the signs that are there in place now. I know this will get removed once we get to this section, but obviously we have a year or so till we get here. So this is something we're going to do in the spring of 2021, as soon as the weather breaks, and we can get out there when the streets are dry, and we'll get a contractor to come out and put the pavement markings up, and we'll get some street signs put in here. The next one is another resident request. So there's been a lot of speeding and different issues going on in here, sounds like, with residents walking, kids walking to school. So we're going to make a change and add, again, this will be here shortly. Church Street, Oak Street intersection is currently a 2-way. We're going to turn that into a 4-way. We will add additional, some orange flags and stuff because it is a new stop, just to make drivers aware. We'll probably put up a sign as well early on both ends. And then we're going to come down to Oak Street in Miami, which just has the 1 stop sign there now, and we will make that a 3-way. So we'll have a 3-way at Miami and Oak Street and a 4-way at Church and Oak. And then lastly, the other request that has come from residents is a speeding issue along King Avenue. So these are ordered, and these actually may be up within the next week. We are putting up radar LED flashing speed signs. In addition to, there's already the 20-mile-per-hour flashing signs there for the school time. These 35s will be solar and they will be on at all times. So as you're coming up around the King's Mansion there, you'll see a 35-mile-per-hour your speed. It'll flash, show your speed. Same thing coming off of Walnut here near Oak. When people are coming through this intersection here by Riverwalk, there will be another 35-mile-per-hour sign there showing the speed. So that's what we're kind of at today on the Kings Mills portion of it, the township. I'm going to turn it over now to Kurt Weber, who can introduce his departments and staff.
Yes, thank you very much, Billy. Appreciate that. Appreciate your presentation, and like to thank Lel and the other trustees for inviting us, and Administrator Reiners, appreciate you including us in this forum, and look forward to presenting. I tell you what, we're really excited to be moving forward with the King Avenue Bridge replacement project. It is the largest construction project that we've done at the engineer's office. We've been involved in several others through with ODOT and through the county TID, but this one is $15 million construction project that the engineer's office is bidding out, and Neil Tunis from the county engineer has done a great job in making this all possible. And we're looking forward to moving ahead. He and Roy Henson, our bridge engineer, have been working hard on this project. It's a $15 million project, and we were fortunate enough to get federal funds through OKI STP, which Dave Mick on the call, which we'll talk about the roundabout, had a lot to do with as well. And so anyway, we've also got local bridge replacement funds through ODOT. And as Lel mentioned, we are glad to be working with Deerfield Township and working collaboratively and with all the cooperation. And it's really a good partnership. So we're looking forward to seeing this bridge replaced and completed, and improving all the safety issues, taking out the unsafe curves, and providing a good, safe road for the traveling public. So Roy Henson will be talking, he's our bridge engineer, he'll be talking about that project. And then we also have the King Avenue Roundabout project, which is the roundabout that will be installed at in front of the King's Mansion, there at the corner of King Avenue and King's Court, to eliminate that current, stop except for right turn movement, which has created a lot of accidents. So I should mention too, the county commissioners have really stepped up and been instrumental in providing funding for that project, as well as other regional projects that we may mention later on, one being the widening of State Route 48 as well, over in Hamilton Township. So we are excited about moving forward with these and working with the township. And with that, I will turn it over to Roy Henson, our bridge engineer, to talk about the bridge project.
Thanks, Kurt. Good evening. Again, I'm Roy Henson with the Warren County Engineer's Office and project manager of the King Avenue Bridge Replacement Project over the Little Miami River. The exhibit you see on your screen now highlights several of our project improvements that I'll now attempt to summarize here. The improvements consist of constructing a new bridge over the Little Miami River on King Avenue, Grandin Road, approximately 300 feet upstream of the current deteriorating bridge. The new bridge and roadway will consist of two 12-foot lanes with 4-foot paved shoulders. The bridge will also have a separate shared use path over the river, which could eventually connect the Little Miami Scenic Trail to a proposed trail in Carter Park. The Little Miami Scenic Trail will be realigned under Grandin Road, eliminating the dangerous current at-grade crossing of the trail and roadway. A new paved parking lot with trail access will be constructed south of the river and east of Grandin Road. The roadway approaches will be improved and realigned to eliminate the sharp horizontal curves. A 4-leg single-lane roundabout will be constructed on Grandin Road at the entrance to the Peters Cartridge Factory development and the trail parking lot. The roundabout will keep the speeds reduced while providing the safest intersection as possible at this location. You can move to the next slide, Billy. I appreciate it. As Kurt mentioned before, the construction cost of this project is currently estimated at $15 million. The project has received $10.7 in federal funding and received $800,000 in state funding assistance. The remaining $3.5 million will be paid locally, primarily from the County Engineers Road and Bridge Fund. Deerfield Township and the Village of South Lebanon are providing some financial assistance with the project. The Warren County Water and Sewer Department, as well as the City of Mason, have significant utility upgrades and relocations as part of this project. The project schedule at this point is tentative based on other agency reviews, approvals, issued permits, and our right-of-way acquisition for the project. Final design and right-of-way acquisition is planned and hoped to be complete by September of 2021. The project is planned to be awarded to a contractor by January of 2022. Construction is planned to follow in February or March of 2022 and eventually be wrapped up and complete by late 2023. If you can move to the next slide, Billy. Thanks. The maintenance of traffic enclosures associated with this project. King Avenue, Grandin Road will not be closed for the duration of the project since the new bridge is on a different roadway alignment. Grandin Road, south of the Cartridge Factory entrance, is expected to be closed for 4 months in the fall of 2022. King Avenue, south of Miami Street in Kings Mills, is expected to be closed for approximately 4 months in the spring of 2023. There will be shorter intermittent closures and lane restrictions throughout the project. The Little Miami Scenic Trail is also expected to be closed at this location for approximately 6 months during the spring and summer of 2022. At this time, I'd like to turn the project update over to Dave Mick with the Warren County Engineers Office, that is the project manager of the King Avenue Roundabout project.
All right, thank you, Roy. My project's not quite as exciting as Roy's. That's a big project, a lot going on, river crossing, a lot of coordination with Fish and Wildlife and ODOT. Just a complicated project and one that we've been looking forward to for a long time. What you see on the screen there is actually it's shows a mini roundabout location, as Kurt mentioned, at King Avenue and Kings Court. Mini roundabouts are have quite a bit smaller footprint than some of the roundabouts that we typically see. The diameter is about 74, 75 feet. In our subdivisions, our typical cul-de-sacs are about 84 feet. So even a little bit smaller than a subdivision cul-de-sac. And we went with a mini roundabout here, trying to achieve some of the benefits of a roundabout, but also as a traffic calming feature here as well. And what's shown in the middle of the screen is a left turn lane that of course, now, as you know, there's 2 drives at Kings Mills Elementary School. The existing east drive is shown. There's a west drive that's not shown. And as part of our mini roundabout project, the township and school is moving forward with additional improvements to construct the left turn lanes for both of those drives. And that work we anticipate will be rolled in with our mini roundabout work for public convenience and to For maintenance of traffic purposes, there would be a road closure associated with that. There would be no through traffic. We would serve all the local traffic, local residents, Kings Meadows included, the Kings Mills residents. However, you would not have access down to the bridge, in that area. Billy, I wonder if you could flip back to that King Avenue Bridge exhibit. I'm just going to show another part of this improvement is the curve there just south of Miami Street there's some work that's going to be done there as well, kind of soften that curve up just a little bit. The work will be done on the inside there where Billy has his cursor moving across where that existing lift station is located. So we'll close the road there, perform that work, and then also, be working around allowing local traffic through that King Center Court. I'm sorry, King Meadows, Kings Court, and King Avenue. It's about a $700,000 project altogether, including that work in the curve and the mini roundabout that does not include the work that will be done along the Kings Mills Elementary school frontage. We yet to have a cost estimate in our office. The township may have something on that, but that's not included in the 700,000. And as far as the project goes, we're looking to complete that work while school is out in the summer of 2022. That's all I have on that project, unless there's questions later to come up.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for the presentations there. Thank you for walking through all of that. You can see from the last slide here, we have contact information listed for the various projects should you have questions after this meeting. I'll go ahead and jump into some of the questions we received on the chat, and either I will answer them or direct them to the appropriate person. So the first question, let's see, says, my questions are about the water lines. Will they stay in the alley? Mike Murray, are you able to unmute and answer that question?
Yes.
Just so everybody knows, Mike Murray is with IBI Group, and he's the design engineer on this project and has been working with us for quite a few years on it. So go ahead, Mike.
Thanks, Eric. I appreciate it. So there is some water main work going on in the plat. It's a 24-inch distribution main. It'll be on Miami Street and Oak Street, and all the remaining water main in the alleys and other streets will tie into that. So there is some limited water main replacement.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Next question says, have you engaged the Kings Local School District and Peterman bus regarding the bus routes, including expected closures of the roads in various places along the bus routes that are difficult to run due to the narrow streets and on-street parking? We have not engaged them yet. They are aware of the project. However, whenever we perform an infrastructure project that requires road closures, we always coordinate closely with the business manager and the bus garage, whether it's temporary closure or long-term closure. So that will happen not only throughout the township's portion of the infrastructure project within Kings Mills, but also, there will be significant coordination with the bus garage and the school district regarding the larger closures for the bridge replacement as well. So I hope that answers that. Next question says, sidewalks on both sides of the roads, question mark. The answer is no. Sidewalks are being proposed on one side only, which is not uncommon in some of our residential areas. Some neighborhoods have it on both, some have it on one. It all depends on what the varying developments put in at the time. So as we went back through this project, and one of the things you probably noticed was the cost has gone up significantly since 2006, 2008 timeframe when we first started this. So as part of that, we did have to evaluate some areas to make the project feasible. And one of those was providing sidewalk on one side of the roadway. Generally speaking, it's provided, well, I'm sorry, that's the no parking. So yes, it will be provided on one side, but not on both for our proposed improvements. Next question is, when will the school zone signs go in on College Street? I don't believe there are any planned for College. Billy, am I incorrect in that? You're on mute, Billy.
Let me go back here to my slide if you don't mind.
Yeah, I thought that the school zone was just on Church Street.
Yeah, I think it was just on Church. Computer's not cooperating. I can get the answer to that, but I'm pretty certain it was on Church Street.
Yeah, I think the only signs are on Church Street. Those signs should be installed, I'd say, within the next 30 days. The order has been placed for those. Billy, do you know if utility markings have already happened on that?
I do not know if they've been marked yet or not with the snow. And if they were marked with the snow, they're going to have to be remarked. I'm more than willing to look into where they're wanting them on College Street. I mean, that's not a problem.
Okay.
So
Sounds good. Next question says, what are the roadway widths? Room for parking on both sides, question mark. The answer is there are two 11-foot driving lanes and then one 9-foot parking lane. So parking will be restricted to one side of the roadway only, which is very typical for our residential streets. Generally, that is only on the non-fire hydrant side of the roadway, as with almost all of our residential streets. So two 11-foot driving lanes and one 9-foot parking lane throughout Kings Mills. Next question says, please consider turn radius for school buses when placing stop signs. The buses have to turn into oncoming traffic. Absolutely. I think that you will see significant improvement with the radiuses at each of the intersection with the project. So as you likely know, the radiuses that exist now don't meet current standards, and some of those signs are placed very, very close to the turning radius. So hopefully that will not be a conflict for them in the future, given the wider radiuses and new placement of the signs. Right. Next one says, can we get no through traffic signs on the inside of streets in Kings Mills? That's something we can look into. However, we don't generally post no through traffic on public roads. They are public roads where any of the traveling public can use those roadways. So that's not something we would generally post for no through traffic. But I'm happy to further look into it and have that discussion with some of our colleagues. But I will say that's not something we have customarily done in the past. Next question is, when will the State Route 48 bridge be expanded to have 4 lanes? Mr. Weber, are you able to answer that one?
Yes, thank you, Eric. Yeah, that's a great question. That is on our radar screen. The first step on State Route 48 is to widen 48 from around the South Lebanon Elementary School all the way south of the 22 and 3 intersection, actually all the way down to Willow Pond Boulevard. That would be a 5-lane road improvement, and that would occur in 2023 and 2024, and that will do a lot right there to relieve the congestion that's occurring in Hamilton Township. It hasn't been quite as bad lately, but we realize that's due to COVID. So the pre-COVID demands on 48 certainly will be improved with that, and that should help us for quite some time. But we are continuing to look at the entire corridor of 48, and so that's the next step, is to work with ODOT. Obviously 48 is an ODOT road, to work with them on some type of bridge type study to determine what type of bridge would be needed in order to make that 5 lanes. That bridge is in really good shape, so it may be that an additional bridge may have to be constructed beside that, but all that takes time and will take considerable amount of money and most likely federal money. So there's a process that's involved, just like the King Avenue Bridge here, started probably studying back in 2013, and here we are in 2022 and 23 for construction. So it could be a 10-year or so process. So I hate to pinpoint an exact year or a date, but we're certainly working on it, and that's a credit to the Warren County Commissioners. They're putting money into these very important regional projects to try to make sure that Warren County residents can move, on the state routes and US routes like 22 and 3 as well. And these are TID projects. And I should have mentioned earlier, Dave Mick is our project manager and engineer for the State Route 48 project. Should have mentioned too, Dan Corey, who's the Deerfield Township fiscal officer. He is the TID manager, project coordinator. And those are TID projects. So he's heavily involved in those. And I mentioned earlier, Neil Tunison, the county engineer, he is leading the charge for the TID on that as well. And Neil I should have mentioned earlier, he had another meeting this evening, a public involvement meeting on our conveyance standards. So I think he was going to try to listen in some if he could, but that's why he's not presenting here tonight. But I hope that answers your question.
Great, thank you for that explanation. All right, let's see where we left off here. Next question says, will there be an extension of the sidewalk along King's Court to the intersection of King Avenue and King Court opposite the park side of the street? That's a good question. I don't know that the township has not looked at that. Dave, I don't know if your roundabout project includes that extension or not. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, no, it does not. I'm not sure what the right of way is on the south side of King's Court, if that would require additional right of way or not. But, there's no sidewalk, of course, if I'm remembering correctly anyway, on the east side of King Avenue. So we would just be relying on that existing bike path on the north side of King's Court along the park frontage.
Got it. Okay. That's one that I'm happy to follow back up on and see, if there is a desire and a need to have sidewalk installed there, does it make sense? And we can evaluate whether or not that's something that's feasible. So I'll look more into that one. Next question says, will we extend the sidewalk down past the river for the bridge project? Additionally, will the sidewalk from ending across the post office be connected in front of the Mexican restaurant office square? So there's actually a couple things going on there. One project we didn't actually talk about, but first I will say that with the new bridge project, we've been able to coordinate with the Warren County Engineer's Office to get a pedestrian connection across that bridge to the bike trail. So that's something we're hoping to see come with the bridge. In addition to that, in late 2019, Deerfield Township actually applied for state capital funding for a pathway project to essentially connect from the bridge down at the river, then have a 10-foot wide paved asphalt pathway to go up through Carter Park, come out in front of the school, and then actually continue all the way up to, in essence, kind of Kings Island Drive, I think where you're making reference to the Mexican restaurant and office square. So that is a project we did apply for state capital funding on. However, in 2020, all state capital funding was put on hold due to the pandemic. We have heard some information recently that it looks like the state's going to be reconsidering that. And again, that is an active project that we have some schematics on, we have some pricing on, and we will be pursuing, trying to make that connection. So. Next question, with the planned new hospital and new Kings Island campsite, will Kings Mills Road be widened to 5 lanes between Kings Island Drive and Columbia? Kurt, would you care to take a stab at that one and maybe talk about how that works and what the TIS process is on that?
Sure, yes, thanks, Eric. Yeah, that Mercy Hospital site, we are certainly taking a look at that, and they are required to do a traffic impact study. And David Mick is our project lead on that. And but yeah, to answer your question, you know, as far as the hospital goes, that Mercy Hospital, they'll be required to make improvements, you know, to existing roads according to what's attributable to the development. And ultimately, you know, there's other things going on, like you mentioned, the campsites or the Camp Cedar on Kings Island Drive. I mean, the good thing about that, obviously it does generate traffic, but it's something that's you know, comparatively speaking, a relatively low, you know, traffic generator compared to other developments that could have gone in there. So we think that was a definitely good thing for the area. And as far as the Mercy Hospital goes, and Dave, Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, but looking at the volumes that, you know, that will, you know, be generated and how they may affect Kings Mills Road, you're looking like, you know, it could be, you know, 60 vehicles per hour, which, you know, is maybe a vehicle per minute, you know, for eastbound, and 30 vehicles per hour in the PM, or excuse me, for the westbound, which is, you know, about a vehicle every 2 minutes. So and that's the impact there on Kings Mills Road. That's just the early volumes that we're looking at. So that gives you a little bit of an idea there, but obviously whatever, you know, impacts in regards to their traffic, whatever is attributable to their development, those are the improvements they'll have to make. And most generally, you know, along the frontage of the property, you know, which is generally, you know, between Columbia Road and Kings Island Drive, and maybe some improvements on Columbia Road, perhaps, as well as improvements on Kings Island Drive. Those are all possibilities. But yeah, as far as that's something that we obviously are taking a close look at. And Dave, is there anything else that you would like to add to that?
No, that's exactly right, Kurt. The only thing I might mention is the 60 trips and the 30. That's for King Avenue, Kings Mills Road. The volume's a little bit heavier there, but some of that traffic peels off at Columbia. But yeah, that was exactly right as far as the process.
All right. Thank you for that explanation. It's like Loretta Brayton was asking about Church Street, and I think we answered that question then on when those were going in. Signs have been ordered, and they'll be going in for that school zone marking within the month here. Next question is, can school parking be prohibited as part of this with the reduced parking? I know this is something that's come up in the past. It's obviously been an ongoing issue for 20 plus years with students parking on the streets within Kings Mills. We can definitely do an evaluation to determine if there is in fact an actual loss of parking. It would seem to me that there should be an increase in parking by adding that on at least one side of the street all the way down. But I'll ask that an analysis be run. I'm happy to revisit that topic again. There were some legal issues with the township trying to prohibit parking along one street or any street for specific people, and ensuring that it's fair and equitable to all the taxpayers within the community. And how do we prohibit that parking, to certain people but not others? So it presented some legal issues back to us via our law director, but happy to look back into that again. So. Let's see, next question is, will King Avenue also get curbs? I'm unaware of that. Dave, is there any curb work? Will the roundabout be curbed? Does it extend down to the potential turn lanes we're looking at there?
There'll be curb around the roundabout, and as it extends a little bit to the west, I think it's still a question whether or not there might be curb and gutter to College Street along King Avenue. But I believe the latest plan for the project along Kings Mills Elementary is that would still be open ditch section.
Okay, got it. And then the next question is curb on King Avenue to prevent runoff through properties. So I think kind of the same question or same comment. It sounds like, Dave, it's being evaluated down the hill towards, or I'm sorry, towards College as part of that project.
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Brayton says her vote is for you to keep your 15 million and add to the 48 bridge expansion. So thank you for your comment. Mansion Roundabout shows 3 crosswalks, funding available for crosswalk lights. I don't believe there was any plan in the initial roundabout plan for signalized crossing lights. And Dave, I don't know if you can speak to that. Is that something that can be done in roundabouts?
No, I will say one thing real quick. That's we just have 1 crosswalk now. There was an older plan that had 3 crosswalks in the mini roundabout. So we're just looking at 1 on the west side. As far as lights goes, I'll have to check with our design consultant on that and see what the convention is. We have street lighting proposed, but I'm assuming this is the pedestrian crosswalk lights. I'd have to ask that question of our design engineer.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Next question said school had wanted access to Walnut. Will this still be avoided? I know that we had some discussions probably 12, 18 months ago when the school was evaluating their kind of parking situation and future expansion. And I believe, there was a desire to come out onto Walnut with some type of secondary access. The township was definitely not in favor of that at the time and had expressed that back to the school. We didn't want to see any additional traffic pushed onto Walnut. I have not seen any updated plan. I'm not aware if they've moved forward with anything. Kurt, have you heard anything in a while on that?
No, I have not. I'm not aware of any proposal for access on Walnut. Dave, do you know anything to the contrary?
No, as far as I know, we've touched base with the school's consultant here recently, and he hasn't been contacted. When the bond issue did not pass and COVID hit, and as far as I know, all that's been put on hold. There was the initial submittal that included the potential consideration for an access on the Walnut, and the way it was left is, that there was some additional modeling that would need to be done to see if there was any benefit at all to local roadway network, and that would be part of a public, consideration, part of that TIS approval process. So still a whole lot of work to be done, and nothing's been done as far as I know in the last, year and a half.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that update. Looks like next question is, maybe it's more of a statement. Sidewalks, bike trail, pedestrian access from Kings Island Drive / hospital to Little Miami Bike Trail will be a great improvement for the local Kings Mills community. I think we can all agree with that. And, we're cautiously optimistic with the state capital funding, and we will continue to update the public on that. If that project does get funded, we would obviously release that information and show everyone what the proposal is for that. But that is definitely, I agree, a very important connection. It's actually shown on part of our trail system as future connection anyways. So if we're unsuccessful this time around with state capital funding, we will still continue to pursue, other options to bring that project forward. One more question just popped up. It said, did we mention additional stop signs on Miami and Church? Yes, that was covered earlier in the presentation by Billy. Timing on those additional stop signs will be kind of around the same time as the school zone work on Church Street. So there you go. Thank you, Billy, for switching back to that. One other quick thing, Billy, can you go back to the roundabout slide, please? The one that shows Dave's roundabout project. One thing to mention here, you can see the couple of turn lanes that are shown. This is something that the township is working with the engineer's office on to have these potential turn lanes installed in front of the schools. We're also working to realign College with the school's access drive and then a new access into Carter Park. Most likely would all be done with the roundabout project. So just want to let everybody know that's being designed currently, which is why we don't have a true exhibit for that. There was a question about that I received about the truck sign. Kurt, are you able to answer that? What was going on with the kind of the no trucks permitted on the bridge, and maybe what a potential solution was there for kind of relocation or an updated sign with that?
Yeah, that's a great question, Eric. I mean, the bridge improvement, obviously replacing the bridge to the current load limit standards and will make it, structurally capable to carry the trucks, and likewise realigning the curves. I mean, that will be so that we'll have to take those impassable signs down, because legally it's not impassable. They can use the road if they need to, but we understand the concern of the truck traffic through Kings Mills, and so because of that, we were going to put a modified sign for eastbound Kings Mills Road right in front of the firehouse there. If you're familiar with that, there is a I-71 shield sign, if you will, pointing the traffic northbound on Columbia to 71. So we thought it would be prudent to add a truck route sign there that would, with an arrow pointing the traffic to the north on Columbia Road as well. There again, if they do happen to use King Avenue, that they are legally able to do that. But we feel like that truck route plus the speed radar boxes that the township's putting up to keep people's speed at 35 miles an hour, and as well as, the roundabout, at the King Mansion, as well as the roundabout at the Peters Cartridge apartments on the Grandin Road side. We feel like these are all, traffic calming devices that will keep the traffic slowed down, control the speed, and may ultimately act as a deterrent to the trucks. I mean, the trucks can still, navigate in those roundabouts. However, they obviously have to slow down to use those, and so it's going to be something that I think may be, a deterrent, but ultimately they can use it. The other thing we want to mention too, that Roy Henson, our bridge engineer, mentioned this, is, the grades. We're taking out the curves, the switchback curve coming down out of Kings Mills, as well as the curve on the Grandin Road side, which is a safety issue, because traffic would get hung up there, and then the emergency services couldn't get through. So we wanted to make sure we straighten those out to make it safer in order to get emergency services to where they need to go. But as far as the grades go, they're generally the same, 8.5% slope, going from the bridge up into Kings Mills, because that's just the topography. So, I mean, that's something to consider as well. And with, the 48 bridge, or State Route 48 being widened, and eventually the bridge at some point, making that more attractive for the truck traffic.
Got it. All right. Thank you, Kurt. Appreciate you answering that. Well, great. I think we're about wrapped up with the presentations here. So just as a reminder, if there are any questions on any of these projects, please don't hesitate to reach out to the folks you see listed there, or any of us that are here this evening for that matter. We appreciate your time and the questions that you've asked. Again, this presentation will be posted, so you'll have access to it, and any questions you have, please feel free to reach out to us. Again, a big thank you to the township trustees and the fiscal officer, for their continued support of these various projects and enabling us to locate funding to bring these Kings Mills projects forward. And again, a big thank you to the county engineer and his office for all their support, not only with getting a pedestrian connection across the bridge, but assisting us with the OPWC funding, design review, and all the support we receive from you all on a regular basis, not just these projects. So big thank you to everyone, and hope you all have a good night, and look forward to hearing from you if there's any questions. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Lyle. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Kurt. Dave, thank you.
Thank you all.